Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you, Mohammed, for joining us. Mohammed Javeed, we have today at the Brown Dad. Thank you for joining us on the channel. We've got a very, very interesting interview for you today, and he's a little older dad. No, I'm just joking. You'll see him very shortly. Mohammed, please say a little something about yourself.
All right. So I'm not that old, or at least I try to look not that old. But yeah, no. First of all, thank you for the opportunity. I'm happy to be here to share words and have a conversation. Again, my name is Mohammed Javeed. I'm living in Texas, Austin, Texas. Actually, if you haven't been, great place to be. Canadian. I call myself Canadian. Really, still home. Toronto is home. And yeah, I mean, I'm currently living in Texas. I work for a company called Thales. Do you want me to get into the introduction right
Yeah,
away? Or?
sure. Go for it. We'd like to hear a little bit about what it is that you do, since we do have our viewers that are interested in seeing what it is that these brown dads that we offer on the channel. So please tell us a little bit. You said you work for Callis. Is it what is it that you do for them?
So I'm global director for I'm basically head of quality, to keep it simple. I'm head of quality for their cloud protection and licensing business.
Wow.
This is a business that's basically, I mean, most of the world banks, governments, and so on. I mean, they're normally using some type of technology to secure their keys. Everything we
Right.
do now, if you want to keep it confidential, you got to secure it. So our
Right.
organization basically produces software solutions and hardware solutions that
Right.
allow organizations to keep their keys secure. We also do authentication solutions. So you want to access the intranet, you need a token, or you need a virtual key to basically
Right.
be able to authenticate into company intranets.
Very
Also,
interesting.
we have a product that does software monetization. So if you're a company that sells a product that you monetize virtually, by
Right.
basically through license management.
Right.
We have products that basically sell solutions to companies that are trying to monetize their product through licensing and so on. So
Right.
so yeah, I'm basically head of quality for that business line for my company. I also own some businesses on the side. I mean, my family is in a family of entrepreneurs. My
Right.
dad, he's always been entrepreneur. My brother is an entrepreneur, and it's funny. I mean, I always thought I would basically go down the exact same path, but I feel like I found a sweet spot. I kept
Yeah.
my job, and I invested in some companies and in real estate, and I mean, God's been good. I mean, I feel like I have a good balance between owning some real estate investments, owning some construction company, and I invest in
Very
dance
nice.
company. So
Yeah, very nice.
it's been
Very
good.
nice. You truly are the ultimate entrepreneur. You've invested, you said, in construction companies and dance companies and all over the space. But more importantly, we are featuring you on this channel because you are a dad. Now, that being
That's true.
said, what was it like growing up? Because I believe you've not grown up in this country, right? You're an immigrant in Canada or in Austin,
Yeah.
Texas, is it?
Currently, yes, Austin, Texas.
Yes. And what was it like growing up in a different place? And what was your interaction like with your dad?
Yeah. So I mean, growing up was a lot of moving. At least for most of my childhood and my older sister's childhood, we moved around a lot. My dad was, as I said, he's an entrepreneur and he invested in different businesses, and the globe was basically open game for him. It didn't matter where the opportunity was. He would get on a plane, on a ship, whatever it took. He'd take the
Right,
family where we needed to go.
right,
So yeah, as a kid, actually, I started off. I spent some time in Middle East, and then I moved to US. Did my kindergarten in US. Then we moved to India, and it was actually my grandfather's. He was not doing very well health wise, and he wanted my dad to be close to him. So we
right.
moved to India, and I was put in a boarding school. So I
Wow,
actually lived in a boarding school from when I was starting second grade until I finished eighth grade. So
wow.
I would, yeah,
That's
it
6
was,
years.
it was, I didn't actually spend as much time with my parents as
Right.
most people do, because I would only, it was a boarding school hours away from the city. So you really had to go there to go there. I mean, it would be a day trip basically to go see someone and come back. So
Mm-hmm.
I would see
Mm-hmm.
my parents a few times a year,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a couple months a year in total.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time I spent on the boarding school. So so my relationship with my dad was I mean, but when I was there I was with my family, but my dad was, being a businessman, he was quite busy,
Mm-hmm.
doing business deals, traveling, doing whatever needed to do.
Right.
He was certainly a role model,
Right.
and I think this is one thing that brown dads really thrive in. I mean, they're role models for their
Right.
kids.
Right.
But when it comes to any interaction from beyond that level, it was
Mm-hmm.
he was there for whatever you needed, but
Mm-hmm.
he was busy doing his thing, and I was in boarding school until high
Mm-hmm.
school, at least. In high school I moved to US, and the thing evolved, and I think this might be very normal in a brown dad case or a brown family case. I
Mm-hmm.
was now 13 years old, and now I would be helping him in business.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to my high school, but my dad had some fuel stations, and I was actually working with him at the
Right.
stations. I think I worked 7 days a week, basically. I would do school sports, and then I would go do the run the fuel station,
Right.
uh, or help my dad with it. Every weekend I would open the station. So no
Right.
matter what I wanted to do, Friday night, Saturday night, I knew 6 a.m. I had to be at the fuel station. I had to be at the store. So I guess it kept you in check. Kept me
Yeah.
in check. But yeah, I mean, I would say my relationship with my dad growing up was in the young days. I was mostly in boarding school, and seeing him as a businessman, and kind of looking up to that as a role model.
Right.
And then it was more professional in the sense that how we needed to basically run the business, the fuel stations that my dad had, and the role that I played, to support the family.
Right. Right.
And along the way, he always gave really good business advice
Right.
on how to deal with situations, the mistakes you make, and how you learn from it, and things like that.
Definitely.
So I would say, yeah, it was very much in that scope. My
A
relationship
very
with my dad.
supportive dad. A very, very
Very, yeah,
supportive dad.
he was certainly very supportive dad. Not as much. Our conversations weren't as much, intimate around, you know, uh, just an individual. What do you need to do as an individual,
Right.
and so at that personal level, I
Right.
would say it was more on, you know, professional
More
level.
on life advice.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's a
So
very interesting take. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that lovely, lovely insight, and thank you to your dad, right, for bringing you through all these uh, instances of travel and experiences, and instilling in you a work ethic where you're having to wake up at 6 in the morning. So I think it might be a lot easier to wake up to change those diapers now in the morning, right?
absolutely. I mean, I take the night shift. So
Right.
I'm generally a morning person, so I wake up early. But yeah, my wife's actually pregnant right now. She's
Congratulations.
due June 1st. So more
And,
reason I need to be on night shift.
and if you don't mind sharing with our viewers, how many children do you have right now?
So I have two. I
Right.
have twins, actually, a boy and a girl.
Right.
They will be 3 in August, and we're in April, so they're, I guess, 2 and 3/4.
Right.
uh, they're a handful for sure, as you can imagine. 2-year-olds
Yeah.
will be. But yeah, I have two kids, and they're awesome. I think having twins as your first kids is like a cheat code, because they just kind of hang out with each other. So they're
Right.
not, they're demanding, but I guess not maybe as demanding as they could be.
Yeah.
Uh,
You keep
but
each
yeah, I have
other
a third
engaged,
one on the
right?
way, and it's going to be a girl in
Oh, very nice.
June 1st. Yeah. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, I will say, I guess going back to the brown dad thing. So I guess I was a typical brown dad, in the old sense, in the traditional
Right.
sense, because growing up, my dad never, apparently, I learned this later on. My dad apparently had 5 kids, but never picked up any of the kids, never had to change a diaper.
Right.
He's there to support, but he didn't actually have to carry because
Right.
he was, I guess the idea, many people are like afraid of carrying tiny babies, you know?
Right.
So
Right.
he was the same, and he never had to do that. So I certainly tried to ride the no diaper changing strategy with my wife, and I said I can
Your
do
wife
everything
definitely
except change
thanked you for
diapers,
that, right?
you know. But when you have twins, you still have to give in, you know. But
Yeah.
I would say I dodged many of them, even if not all of them, you know. To change that, I do not advise that is a good strategy, because then you give too much leverage, you know. So yeah, I don't mind. But now the they're potty trained, so
Yeah.
both of them
No, I'm
are,
with you.
independent.
As you can
So
see, I've
I'm
got a
happy
little
with that.
while for mine to be potty trained. She's
Yeah, yeah. It grows
we
fast.
definitely have to
They
learn to
grow fast.
juggle.
Yeah,
I definitely
exactly.
look forward to that journey, as you can see. So, thank you for that lovely insight about a little hack on how to have your first child and really go about that. Now, I just wanted to switch gears a little bit, and we wanted to talk about what it was, the challenges that you had, coming into fatherhood, and how it is that you feel that, you've got to juggle all these different roles. And is there anything that you'd like to share from that perspective with our viewers?
Yeah, yeah. I you know I was blessed to have so many siblings, and because the age difference between me and my youngest sister is like 10 years, literally. So, I guess kind of taking care of kids who were always around was something that, you kind of grew up to in a way.
Right.
So that definitely helped me prepare. That said, I wasn't prepared for how busy do you really get, with kids. I mean, it's true, and nobody should feel overwhelmed to know that it's continuous. There's only minutes of silence, not hours or days of silence. So that was something that was something that I guess I didn't realize, even if people might have said it before.
Right.
The other thing is, I mean, I don't watch much television. I mean, I maybe
Right.
watch a few hours a month.
Right.
Sometimes our TV is not on for weeks,
Right.
but so I never knew how I would find time
Right.
to do all these things, because normally either I'm working on my business, or I'm working on my
Right.
job, or I'm working on a business I might want to get into, or I'm looking for the next boys trip, or the next vacation with my wife.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, having kids, it's almost amazing how you find time. I guess you
Right.
just find all those inefficient, not important things that you were doing, which today feel important,
Right.
and they just kind of go away. You don't miss them even as much, I would say. But
Right. Right.
yeah, I found the time, and even if it was twins, which meant we were both always, kind of tapped in. There was no tap out.
Right.
The only thing you get to do is to pick which one you want to deal with, because one is definitely always more difficult than the other one. So your
Right.
break is normally take the less difficult one, not take a break.
Right. I can imagine. I can definitely
Yeah,
imagine. I mean, I've
but
got
yeah,
my
no, I
hands full
managed.
with just one.
It's fun.
I can only imagine what you have to do with two, right?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I mean, the one good thing is when you have two at the same time,
Yeah.
it's a cheat code, because you don't make some mistakes that you make when you only have one.
Right.
For example, you're putting your baby to bed on
Yeah.
your shoulder. We would make sure we didn't have to do that, because
Yeah. Because
that
you
would
know.
mean both of us would be carrying one baby each, or
Yeah.
one would have to carry two babies. So they adapted to sleeping without much
Right.
intervention from our side. So
Right.
it helped. Having twins made us think twice before we made mistakes that would bite us later on.
You
You
realize
know,
you realize the challenge early. You identified
exactly.
it.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
exactly. You have
amazing.
to think ahead. I mean, when you're working operations, you always have to think ahead. So it was like, it was like a job. Like, how do you do
It's a
this and do it
well-oiled
efficiently?
machine, the family health unit, right?
Exactly.
Well, thank you for that. Now, I did want to quickly touch base on, you obviously have had a wonderful relationship with your dad in what it is. You obviously expressed some challenges around that and how it is that you've mitigated that. What do you aspire as a dad to be?
Could you repeat that? There's some grinding going on in the background. I, could, I couldn't hear what you said.
No worries. I said, in to our viewers, what I'm asking is, what do you see the ideal dad as? What type of dad do you aspire to be?
So I would say, I take quite a bit from my dad, for one, or many dads actually, especially like the immigrant dads, who've
Mhm.
moved on. Uh, the dad I aspire to be is someone that would do something so that you can take your future generations, your kids and everybody else, to propel them in some way to be at the next level, whatever that next level is. As and I think that's something that you have to discover as your kids
Mhm.
get older. What is important to you and your family and your name, your
Mhm.
family future.
Mhm.
Because I see what it takes to move,
Right.
to deroot and to move.
Yeah.
And I have utmost respect and for all the fathers and mothers who
Right.
basically left their country, left their families behind in going and finding something. And they weren't shy of going to places that they never saw a photo of, because
Right.
we didn't have all of this.
There was no internet.
So I want to be able to do that to my kids. I want to be able to propel them. I don't know what that is going to be. Maybe it's to Mars, but to 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 look to keep looking for what it is that I can do that would propel them. Like my parents, like my dad and mom did to propel us by bringing us to, U.S., Canada, and giving
Right.
us this experience living around the world and settling here.
And giving them just the opportunity to excel beyond what it is that.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that India wasn't going to propel us. It just meant
Right.
that opening your eyes to other
Different
cultures and other
opportunities.
ways, and building on
Yeah.
what we knew from India, and then
Right.
adapting here, which gives you a benefit, because you know something more, because you've experienced something different.
Correct.
So
Correct.
that
And
experience, I think, was.
similarly, like moving from here back, right? Similarly, having this experience and then going back to India and having now a new perspective or a new set of skills in
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, and I would even add that I would say part of the reason I am as successful as I'm able to be today, is because my dad gave me the ability to not be afraid of moving.
Right.
When my company said, "Hey, do you want to go and take that role in that country?" I mean, I've moved with my company between countries twice already, three times already,
Right.
and I did it because I'm like, yeah, it's you just go and you adapt and you reform.
Right.
And even the businesses I had running, I'm like, yeah, you still manage it, because my dad still manages things in India that he's invested in and so on, and he lives in US and Canada, and he still does it. So, you
Right.
know, I wish I could give that to my kids as well, just so they don't have the fear of, being anchored, so that again, the world is an oyster for them and not just,
Right.
where they live.
Right. Right. No, I totally understand what it is that you're saying, and I mean, as a brown dad myself, I definitely have the similar type of aspirations because I believe that we only limit ourselves by our beliefs, and when we can change those beliefs, then there is nothing that holds us back from
Yeah,
truly conquering what it is that we are ever exposed to, be it
yeah,
Mars,
no,
that right. So
that's true.
I
So
totally, I totally agree with you. I think I want to thank you. I thank you for taking the time to speak to our viewers and to share what it is that you have experienced, what challenges you have experienced, and obviously giving a different perspective to people around what it is that it means with moving and experiencing and running a business, having family, and being a dad at the same time. also doing an interview with a moving baby in your hands, right? So
Well, you seem to be the ideal brown dad because you're doing an interview, manage to put the baby to sleep, baby's back up, you're still doing the interview. And I mean that maybe that's what we all need to be aspiring to.
yeah.
My kid is
But I
sleeping,
think
so I
I
don't have
think
to
it's
dodge
all in a
anybody right
day's
now.
work.
But yeah.
It's definitely all in a day's work. But I do want to ask, what? Thank you for sharing that beautiful insight about what it is, the type of dad you aspire to be, and what it is that you see the ideal brown dad as well. Now, I want to ask, would you like to leave our viewers with any words of wisdom?
Words of wisdom. Well, one, don't be afraid of being a dad, right? I was certainly nervous because I had kids late in my life, and I wasn't sure what I was signing up for, and like life was going to change so much and so on. But it's tough. It's going to be time consuming, but it's quite beautiful. And uh, I actually found that they're going to make sure that my energy level never goes down, even though I had them later in life.
Yeah,
Uh, so as a father, I would say, if you don't have kids, don't be afraid. It's actually quite beautiful, and you don't look back and say, oh man, I was so tired or so thing. You only look forward because it's ever changing and beautiful.
right,
Um, and the other thing I would say is, when you're doing something, think about the consequences long term. Can you
right,
sustain something that you're doing today
right,
in the long term? Because one thing somebody told me, which was very insightful, and but my wife and I took it to heart when we were having our kids, is
right,
they were like, your kids are not born with any habits.
right.
They develop habits, and
Correct.
you are responsible for the habits that you develop because you're
Right,
normally the one introducing habits. So
right,
they said, if you're the kind of person who likes to go out and have to restaurants and be, do vacation travel and so on,
right,
don't stop doing that after you
right,
have kids
right,
because they will adapt to you. You
right,
shouldn't think that you have to adapt to them
right,
if it's going to make you regret how your life changed later on. And I
right,
think that was one
right,
of the biggest things that influenced how my wife and I decided to raise our kids.
right,
We traveled. We went to 19 major cities in 19 months of them first being born, because we
wow,
wanted to prove to ourselves that we can travel with kids. And everything we did, we said, well, is this a habit we can sustain? So, you know, that was one strong advice that I would give anybody, that the kids are not born with habits, so
yes,
don't develop habits that you will regret later on with them. And it's amazing what you can achieve with them.
right,
And besides that, don't be afraid to have kids late, because if I could go back, I would actually wait as long as I did to have kids, because I think it was a beautiful 10 years or so I spent with my wife,
right,
just being ourselves and doing what we needed to do and focus on each other and not family. So you're not missing out if you're waiting. I know it's going to be tough. Your family members will constantly remind you, you know, but you just focus on what's important. Focus on how your wife feels, how you feel. But
right,
yeah, I mean, don't be nervous that you're waiting too long to have kids. I had kids
right,
almost at 37. So, and I wouldn't change it. I would wait for 37 again if I had to go back in life.
right, right. Uh, that's very, very, very beautiful pieces of advice that you've given our viewers, and thank you for those pearls of wisdom. I think that's what we're going to call it, pearls of wisdom. That little segment, right? But
Yeah.
thank you for that. Mohammed, I have to thank you for joining us actually today at the Brown Dad, and thank you for giving us such lovely insights into what it is that you do, all the challenges that you face, and thank you for giving brown dads a sense of hope to know that it they can change that dynamic, they can change diapers, right? and
It's true.
and do the night shift, right?
Yeah.
So
I
thank
mean,
you,
it's
thank
amazing
you.
what you can do as a parent. Nobody ever
No,
knew you could survive 6 months without sleeping more than 3 hours in a row, or
right.
more, maybe years. I don't know. We'll find out.
Well, I
All
want to
right. Well,
thank
thanks
you.
for the opportunity. I'm glad I
No,
could.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hopefully, I can help some people
No,
to
definitely,
to
thank
work.
you. I do want to thank you again, once again, and thank you so much for doing this interview. We hope to have more future interviews with more brown dads like yourself, and look forward to more. Take care.
All right. Talk soon. Bye.